Welcome back to my kitchen, everybody. Today I'm going to be sharing an awesome recipe with you for a banana loaf, which is both paleo friendly and keto friendly and could easily be adapted to be even more paleo or even more keto. So it's gluten free, it doesn't have any kind of white refined sugar or even brown sugar. And like I said, I'll talk about some of the substitutions that you can do which can really ramp up the health factor of this amazing banana loaf. So it's only going to take a couple of minutes to throw together, which is awesome. There's only a few ingredients, so let's get started. Right now, in a large mixing bowl, I have 3 bananas that are, just sliced up, which I'm gonna mash. So I'm using a potato masher. If you have a pastry cutter, you could use that. If you just have a fork, you could easily use that too. So bananas do have sugar, but not when they're green. So my bananas were on the greener side, and when they are greener, they do not have anywhere near the amount of sugar that they would have if they were yellow. So I know that the yellow spotted bananas that some people might really like because they have the intense banana flavor. For this purpose, I'm going to suggest that you use the greener variety, again, just to sort of reduce the sugar. That's pretty much it. That's the only reason why I'm using greener bananas. So I've got my bananas mashed. I also just want to quickly mention I'm doing this all by hand, minimal equipment, masher, whisk, and eventually I'm going to use a spatula. But if you wanted to just put this all into a food processor, you could totally do that too. Super easy, really fast to clean up also. So now that my bananas are mashed, I am going to put in the other wet ingredients, which are 3 whole eggs. Easy peasy. Since this is a loaf, which is a type of cake, if you want to call it a breakfast pastry, whatever, there does need to be a little bit of sweetness in it. I'm going to use honey, but again, if you're trying to respect a keto, let's say a keto diet, you could easily use a sweetener like monk fruit, or anything that won't get your blood sugar to spike. So there's a very minimal amount of honey in this. It's all of 3 tablespoons. So I'm not all that concerned because at the end of the day, when I'm cutting off a slice, I'm gonna get like a micrometer's worth of honey. So I'm not all that concerned. So it's 3 tablespoons of honey, and if you were using an alternative, let's say if you were using, again, like some kind of powdered non-sugar sweetener, I would use the same amount. So there's my honey. Just gonna use my finger to scrape off the excess. Oh, and I forgot my fat. Hold on one second. Okay, so just to recap, in this bowl I have the 3 mashed bananas, 3 whole eggs, and 3 tablespoons of honey, which, like I said before, you could totally replace with with some type of non-sugar like sweetener, again, like monk fruit. And now we need some kind of fat component. Most cakes, most pastries have some form of fat because fat adds a lot to a recipe. It obviously enhances flavor, it adds moisture, it helps to, like, let's say, lubricate everything. So I am a butter fan. I believe the secret to life is to use butter. So I am using melted butter. The amount is a 1/4 cup. But if you wanted to make this dairy-free, you could very easily just use coconut oil, some other type of oil that doesn't have a very strong taste. And again, that's a 1/4 cup, and I'm putting that into my main mixing bowl with all my wet ingredients. So now all I have to do is mix up my wet ingredients. And again, I'm using a whisk, but if you wanted to do this in a food processor, you could totally blend that all together using the blade attachment, and you would just let it zhuzh until it's completely blended. And yes, zhuzhing is the official pastry term for mixing in a food processor. So I'm just whisking it until it's all combined. And now we need the dry ingredients. So I said at the beginning that this recipe is keto-esque. So keto, as we know, prioritizes fat, so it's high fat, medium protein, very little carb. So again, I also said that this is a gluten-free recipe. There's no flour. I'm using ground almonds, a little bit of coconut flour. So it's 1.5 cups ground almonds, a half a cup of coconut flour, 1 teaspoon baking soda, and a half teaspoon of salt. And I just sort of mix that together first with a spoon or a fork just to get it blended. Then that gets chucked in. And I'm switching to my spatula only because I don't want to get my almond pieces caught in my whisk. I don't want to lose any almond. I ground my own almonds today, so my almond crumb is a little bit coarser than it would be had I just bought ground almonds. You can do whatever you want. In fact, you could even do this with a different nut. It would be really nice with walnuts. It would be really nice maybe with a combination of nuts, like let's say Brazil nuts, walnuts. It's a really good way to get in all those healthy fats into one recipe. So here's my finished batter, and it's done. Wasn't that fast? Wasn't that easy? Amazing. Now I need to put it into its baking vessel, which is a standard sized loaf pan, which I have sprayed and lined with parchment paper. Very simply, I am going to pour all of this in there. One shot, no problem. I love recipes that are easy to make. I love recipes that don't require a million ingredients. And this does both of those things. So there is my loaf ready to go into the oven. I'm baking it at 350 degrees. Loaves generally take about an hour. I like to rotate at least halfway through. Sometimes I even do 20-20-20. I think we've had enough of 2020. So I am gonna rotate halfway through the baking. So 30 minutes, rotate another 30 minutes. And like any other kind of cake, the test for doneness is you would need to stick in either a toothpick or a skewer, some kind of like wooden stick-like thing, and make sure that no batter stays on the stick. So you're looking for a clean stick that is dry, but always, always, always better to bake less and check it and add more time as you need in small increments than just like set your timer for an hour, forget about it, and then you have a dry loaf. Because when it comes to baking, whether you're doing keto, whether you're doing regular, it's very easy to overbake things. And it's always, I would rather have something that's moist and delicious than something that's dry and terrible. So bake less time, check it. I will show you what it looks like in the end. Enjoy. Hey everybody, so I just wanted to wrap up this episode of Keto, Paleo, Banana Snack Loaf. So here is my finished loaf. I have already dug into it, I'm not gonna lie. And so I baked it for a total of about 50 minutes. So staying true to that rule of baking for less time, checking, and adding on small increments as needed. And I just wanted to cut into it to show you what the inside looks like. So here is the beautiful banana loaf. You can see the banana pieces nicely melded into the loaf. It's super moist, even though there's not a lot of fat, even though there's not a lot of sweetener. The banana does a good job at keeping this moist. It also is holding its shape really well. And if you know gluten-free desserts, that's not always the case. They're often very dry. They often are also crumbly. This is neither of those things. And I didn't use any kind of stabilizer or binding agent like xanthan gum or psyllium husk. It was just the ground almonds and honestly the banana. So again, I really urge you to try this out. Not a lot of ingredients, doesn't take a lot of time, super delicious. It also, gives you a nice shot of healthy fats from the nuts. It's delicious, it'll keep you satiated, it'll give you energy. It's not heavy. So go out, get some stuff, bake your banana loaf, enjoy. Till next time, bye.